Alright, you already know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. Week 3 has officially wrapped up, and damn, do we got a lot to talk about. It doesn't take rocket science to understand how these type of videos work. I'm going to go through each game. I'm going to give each team their own individual grade, just based on my own opinion. And with all that being said, I do have a quick disclaimer. I am not a professional. By all means, I am the furthest thing away from being a professional. This is all strictly my opinion, and if I give a team a grade that you don't agree with, please let me know down below in the comments what you would have said instead. And all I do ask is if you are new here, please subscribe. It does help the channel out and helps my name get out there more. But anyways, with all that being said, let's get into grading your team's Week 3 performance. Alright, now we have the Thursday night football game between the Miami Dolphins and Buffalo Bills. This game was a lot closer than I would have imagined, shockingly enough. I mean, I had a feeling it was going to be a trap game. But at the rate both teams were playing into this year, I thought otherwise. But instead, we got a close game that could have gone either way. Well, that is until Tua remembers he's a fucking moron and has to throw the game in the most Tua way possible to remind people why you don't pay quarterbacks based off one really good season. Anyways, game starts and Miami comes in red hot, putting up an instant 7 on the board thanks to the run and a couple of checkdowns from Tua. And this is pretty much what would happen over the next couple of hours if you were expecting big time plays and you came to the wrong game. Every throw was damn near behind the line of scrimmage because Tua's noodle arm can't throw downfield in his high school offense without either A, hitting the wrong person, or B, just being thunderthrown completely. Which is a damn shame, as I said before, having these weapons out there just to tell them their quarterback is soft like Charmin Ultra Strong, you know, that's gotta suck. So unfortunately, yeah, that's the best they can really do with a quarterback like this. And it's not even like the O-line did a bad job. Tua didn't get sacked once. I mean, sure, there was pressure, but he had time to do something when he wasn't trying to scramble like he just discovered what sprinting is. Just horrible play calling and a really bad quarterback with the arm of a middle schooler to blame for this past game doing next to nothing if it wasn't for these small checkdowns that turned into more thanks to the receiver. And yes, even if they won, I would still dog on the pass game because 146 yards barely for a quarterback paid $53 million yearly is absolutely pathetic to see. And honestly, even if they did win, it would have been more on Buffalo's defense, if anything. Now, for the run game. It was solid. You know, it was solid. It had flashes and a couple of big plays from Achane and Ollie Gordon, which could be a lethal duo if you play your cards right. But of course, they won't. It's the Dolphins. But nonetheless, great performance from there as expected. Achane's a damn dog. It just sucks he's there, not somewhere else where it's been proven he can help elevate an offense. The guy does everything. Now for the defense, which defensively, Miami did alright. You know, they did pretty okay. I mean, they held Josh Allen in check, forced a couple of stalled drives, and really just doing about everything to keep them from lighting up the scoreboard. And then the fourth quarter hits, and when I mean hits, it hits like shit hitting a fan. With a large roughing the punter penalty that had me shaking my head. And I'm not even a Dolphins fan. I just don't understand some of the shit these players do. What a boneheaded player. I mean, they're giving you the ball back in a close game and your best ideas. That sounds great. But I'm gonna be a fucking hero and proceed to knock the shit out of the punter. Real genius right there. Y'all should throw some more money in his direction. And because of Poindexter here, it gave the Bills another chance, which go figure they would score right off of this undisciplined mistake. Which, I mean, funny enough, wasn't the first mistake of the night. They had plenty of other stupid penalties like the unsportsmanlike conduct one, but really nothing as game-changing as this one. Overall though, while it was questionable and they had their moments, they had the Dolphins in the game until the very end and gave the offense multiple chances to tie this game, let alone win it, where it wouldn't be until the last 3 minutes where Tua had to do Tua things and throw a pick to end the night. My thoughts remain the same. This team is fucking horrible. Get them off prime time, fire McDaniels, fire Greer, and throw Tua overboard in a sealed box. That's really about as good as things can get this year for Miami. But for keeping this game as close as it was until Superman decided he wanted to go kill the punter and Tua's miraculous throw to the wrong team as usual, I'm gonna give them a C+. I mean, this game could have been way worse. We all know it could have been, but it wasn't. And for Dolphins fans, I'm sure it counts as a win, especially with a rivalry like this. Just next time, you know, maybe don't make big fuck-ups against one of the best teams in the NFL. I mean, even the most little mistakes, you just cannot do it against teams like this. C+. Now we have the Buffalo Bills. James Cook, man. James Cook. What a signing that one was, and I'm telling you, it's looking worth every damn cent week by week. Last week, it was the Jets. Now it's Miami. Which is really good for this offense because not only do you have to plan for Allen, which the Dolphins did plenty this game, but you have Cook to also watch because if you're not careful, He's cooking up this front and he's taking it to the house. Which cooking up is all he did. 19 carries, 108 yards, averaging damn near 6 yards a pop. Just insane. And that's still not to mention Allen's doing, which while it wasn't your typical Allen showing, still very good and very consistent, which makes this offense a nightmare to face, knowing Allen doesn't have to play hero ball to win every game. 22 for 28, 213 passing yards, 25 rushing, and 3 passing touchdowns to Kincaid, who had a pop-off game himself. Shakir and even the third tight end on their depth chart caught a passing touchdown. Everybody was getting involved. It's an arsenal of weapons you'd least expect, but with Josh Allen, think of the unthinkable. He makes a lot of people look really good. And as long as him and Cook continue to dominate like they have been the last couple weeks, expect them to be a match that most teams are gonna hate facing. They showed up and they got the job done. Even with some stalled out drives, they came right back and fought fire with fire. It just sucks Buffalo's fire compared to Miami's. It's like a wildfire to a lighter. Defensively though, it wasn't all that smooth. I mean, you look at the offense and the defense, you can definitely tell who was the more impressive of the two. The Bills let the Dolphins convert a staggering 10 of 15 third downs, which is a stat no team really wants to be theirs. But yeah, they couldn't shut down key drives that would allow Miami to put up 21. So it's a struggle you definitely want to care for. Nonetheless, even with the concerns, they tightened up in crunch time, forcing the game-sealing turnover, which, I mean, Tua, kind enough, hands out these like they're free samples. And with this, the Bills start their season 3 wins to nothing. Just thank God it was the Dolphins, because holy shit, that performance on their end was not the prettiest. I'm going to give the Bills a B. Not their best game, but really a game only the good teams come away with in these type of close matchups. It was a really up and down kind of day, but I mean, hey, Thursday night football with very little rest and recovery from Sunday, it's bound to affect them somehow. So probably just a case of that. Solid B. Now we have the Cincinnati Bengals. If this is what the Bengals are going to look like without Burrow, can we just create a petition to put the entire team and their schedule on the sidelines with him? Because holy shit, they're horrible. I mean, scratch that. Browning is fucking horrible. Actually, wait, don't scratch that. This team played like hot MILF ass Sunday. Whether it was a fumble or interception, they did it, and you bet they suck. Knock on wood, but I genuinely don't think they're gonna get another win this season. They faced the Broncos, Lions, Packers, and Steelers in the next 4 games. I mean, maybe they beat the Jets, but there's no way you could sell me on them winning more than 4 games max. Unless they sign an actual solid backup or even trade for someone like Cousins or Winston, I don't believe it for a damn second they're gonna do much. The offense was sloppy, but it's not like they even got off to a good point to begin with. From start to finish, this was hard to watch. Defensively, they were alright. I mean, if you really want to put it in that way, I mean, they had a few sacks and tackles for loss, but they didn't have any answer for Jordan Mason and the run game. And they sure as hell did not have an answer for Carson Wentz and his arsenal of weapons. So, yeah, not your day, Cincinnati. I should probably rephrase that actually, not your year either. And confidently after seeing this, I could just say, start preparing for the next. Because, I mean, even I wouldn't want to watch this for the next 14 weeks straight. Gonna give him an F. This game was really bad. I'm gonna keep it a buck. It was just that bad. So unless Browning steps up, or somebody's traded into this hellhole of a situation, or Burrow gets a new foot within the next week or two, it's wraps. Pure F performance. Alright, so let me get this straight. Everybody but your first round quarterback can look good behind this offense. Got it. For this piece, I would like to turn my attention to the defense. Because sure, the offense was great, but this was a defense dominating type of game. From start to finish, just blow after blow, nothing but the chef's kiss for this performance. Should I say historical the way Isaiah Rodgers bent this sorry ass team over and just delivered. Belt to ass, just becoming the first player in league history to score 2 defensive touchdowns and force 2 fumbles in a game, let alone all in the first half with an 87-yard interception return for a touchdown and a 67-yard fumble return for his second score today, putting Vegas at 34-13 for halftime. Just wild. And it was even crazier if you watched the game live. Just wow. So while he had a perfect performance, you had the rest of this defense hold the Bengals to only 171 yards total, with 5 forced turnovers entirely, including 4 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, and plenty more to say. But what I will say is simply, it was a perfect day. which ideally after last week's loss and struggle on defense, this is what you want to follow it up with. And it really worked out on their end, especially not knowing how Wentz was going to look with his offense either. Overall, big day from everybody. Wentz played well, receiving room was great, run game went crazy, and the trade for Jordan Mason looks better every carry he gets. And as I said in the beginning, the defense played at its best, and hopefully they continue to carry this on as the season goes. A+. Now we have the Houston Texans. This offense fucking reeks. Jesus Christ, I thought the Rams performance was like maybe a one-off thing, like, you know, I cushioned it with, oh, well, you know, it's the Rams, their defense is really good. Then the Buccaneers lost, and it was like, all right, 2 weeks in a row, come on, show me the offense from last year. Then week 3 hits, and I've lost all in any hope for this offense because it's just utter shit at this point. Everyone sucked. O-line is shit, and you could not convince me any other quarterback would succeed behind this bullshit they call a line. You know your quarterback isn't mobile, yet you get him everything but some fucking protection. Progressive Insurance gives more protection than whatever that fuckery was. Stroud, while I don't necessarily want to blame like everyone else is, given his situation, I mean, sure as hell, it ain't sunshine and rainbows, but his decision making has not been its best either, especially in the final minutes with a brutal pick to let the Jaguars walk away with the dub. That's trash. The run game is nothing without Joe Mixon. I mean, yes, watching Chubb play again is great, but let's get real. He want to be the running back one on most teams for a reason. They need Mixon more than ever, and my God, does it show. Now, as for the receiving game, unless your name is Nico Collins, your ass can collect your check like it's Monopoly and go. Like, get out of here, scram, you know, you're basically non-existent, and non-existent is what they were Sunday. Really only having the fourth quarter late touchdown to Collins to make it seem much closer than it really was, with also in the fourth having one of the worst quarters I've seen for Stroud, throwing 2 picks to ensure Texans take the loss to go 0-3 in its already very disappointing season. Coordinators, I could go on for hours, but I'll sum it up with this. Fire the poor bastard y'all have now. I mean, you got rid of the jackass from last year, but this guy isn't doing any better. You could replace the clown, but you sure as fuck cannot replace his ideas. They both suck. Hire someone who actually knows what the hell they're doing. Anyways, now we get to the defense, where like usual, it was amazing. 1 pick, 2 sacks, 7 pass disruptions, 3 tackles for loss. I mean, it held the run game under 80, which if you've seen the last performances of the Jaguars, Tudor and Etienne were going off. Just too bad they couldn't stop the man from rushing in the game-winning score. Anyways, now we get to the pass game. They had Lawrence second guessing damn near everything he did with the amount of fuck-ups he was making, going only 20 for 40 attempts. So overall, good showing for this side. I just wish I could say the same for the offense, who outside of a field goal just didn't show up, and confidently I could say I don't see them winning their division anymore. Sorry, I just don't. Because, I mean, I like this squad, so it sucks to see, but at this rate, I don't even know who's going to finish last, them or the Titans. I'm going to give the Texans a D+. Just damn, dude. I mean, for what I expected this year, same said with plenty of others, this is disappointing. And unless something changes and the offense becomes way more consistent, I'm safe to say they're already going to have a high pick in next year's draft. D+. Alright, now we have Jacksonville. So after last week's brain fart against Browning and the Kitty Cats, you'd assume the Jags had to bounce back in this matchup. And well, you'd be right for at least one side of the field, with defense coming away here big with a strong performance. Especially in the fourth quarter, catching 2 clutch interceptions to seal the door on Houston's hopes and dreams, and let's just say potential comeback. And that's still not to mention a huge fumble by Nico Collins that directly set up the go-ahead run by Etienne to end the game. See, plays like these are exactly why this unit has the potential to change games, and even with a mediocre offense, if this defense shows up the same way they did here, it could be enough to hold off just about anybody. But speaking of the offense, I know I just called it mediocre, but it has the potential to be something more. It's just right now, you could tell it's still a learning process under Cohen's play calling. But I mean, hey, it's showing signs week by week, it's getting there. But in this game, it was definitely not the prettiest thing to watch, but it worked, I guess. I mean, with the run game being the better contributor in this matchup, with a touchdown by Tudor in the first and a rushing touchdown in the end to finish the game. That's pretty much where all the scoring came from, with an okay performance from Prince Charming himself, who was able to make whatever he could out of the short field the secondary was giving him outside that 1 pick. Not a lot of deep balls were thrown here. I mean, just like Stroud, just a shoulder-shrugging performance on the pass game from both sides. So overall, this game was a battle of the defenses and really which offense would fuck up more, which in the end, the Texans made much bigger mistakes that would let Duval walk away with the win. This game was really just a definition of a win's a win, gonna give Jacksonville a B-. Offensively, they did diddly squat. Defensively, they proved they might have what it takes to hang with some of the league's very best. Strong showing in a much needed win, especially against a division rival. B-. Next up, we have the Indianapolis Colts. I don't even know what fucking reality this football year has been so far, but I like it. I mean, if somebody told me the Colts were going to be damn near unstoppable in the offseason, I'd have laughed right in front of your face and said I had a better chance of getting struck by lightning twice. Now I kind of fear thunderstorms. Anyways, let's get to the game, where it wasn't close for even a second. With a strong performance from Indiana Jones and the receiving room, who went 18 for 25, 228, and a passing touchdown to Michael Pittman, who had 73 yards with Alec Pierce right behind him for 67. But even with their performance, there was an even stronger performance from the backfield by Jonathan Taylor, who is putting every defense on notice. He's that motherfucker. 17 carries, 102 rushing yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns, putting the offense on his back this game. Blowing this out of the water real fast. I mean, just an offense that can beat you in multiple ways, and the last couple of weeks have been a really damn good showing of that. Then you turn to the defense, who basically stomped out any attacks the Titans threw their way. 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 7 quarterback hits, a pick 6. Just a dominant showing. Despite having its moments where Cam Ward was able to make magic, they still got the important stops and made sure this game stayed out of reach. Overall, just another week nobody expected from the start. I mean, again, if you told me they played the Titans week 3, I would have assumed it was a battle of the 0 and 2s and who would get their first win in this division. Just wow. Definitely one of the best surprises of the year so far. I'm gonna give the Colts an A. The Titans walked away from this one with more questions than answers, and most of them trace back to Brian Callahan, whose process thinking works like a roulette wheel to shit he decides. Like that brain dead call on a 64-yard field goal early with 42 seconds left. May I have to remind you this, which originally was a 57-yarder before it got called back because delay of game. Which most reasonable coaches would see that penalty and go, well, might as well punt the damn thing. But no, not for Callahan. Oh, of course not. Callahan saw this and said, I got this, before getting blocked, giving Indy 3 more points than they should have there had they played their cards right. But nope, gotta take an air ball of a risk for no fucking reason whatsoever. Then on top of that, just mismanaging the clock and timeouts before halftime, putting them deeper on the board than they needed to be, especially in a divisional game you'd like to win. Offensively, Ward showed us flashes as usual. Like I said, he's the Bugatti in a trailer park. Talent's through the roof from his arm to his mobility, but overall the pass game lacked any rhythm, and the O-line sure as shit did not help much either. I mean, it's because of him, it limited what Ward could really do. Pollard tried to do something on the run with 16 carries, but couldn't amount to much outside his 1 rushing touchdown. Just overall a mediocre day here on the offense. And then you turn to the defense, where defensively the front 7 had some success clogging run lanes and forcing Indy into third downs, but ultimately breakdowns in coverage and the constant short fields will wear them down, which down to the second half and after, the Titans defense just couldn't come up with any big key stops to keep the game in reach. Especially when it came to stopping Jonathan Taylor. I'm gonna get the Colts a D+. It was a good game, but when your coach is a fucking moron, I'd imagine it's hard to win much. Next up, we got the Raiders. Man, the Raiders look so damn out of sync from start to finish. And it showed in all 3 phases. Offensively, this unit is still trying to find its identity with Geno Smith, which for what they told us in the offseason, I'd expect better. Trailing just 20-10 at halftime with multiple chances to claw themselves back into this game, but instead delivered a fucking stinker of a third quarter with a record high of only 37 total yards. Yes, that's right, 37 total yards. Ashton Jeanty once again struggled to find daylight, averaging just 3.7 yards per carry, which still isn't a lot of carries because they refused to hand the guy the ball, which I don't understand why draft him if you knew this was going to happen behind this horrendous O-line. But anyways, without a consistent run game, the offense stalled out far too often and just didn't do anything until it was too late, with 3 passing touchdowns from Geno to Trey Tucker because, I guess Brock Bowers is invisible. But anyways, defensively, they weren't really much better. Washington hit them with chunk play after chunk play through the air and on the ground, and the back end of the defense had trouble keeping containment when the Commanders stretched the field. Somehow, and I mean somehow, this defense let Marcus Mariota in the Big 25 do them this dirty. Just damn. Overall, it was a surprisingly sloppy effort given by the Raiders between the offense that couldn't sustain drives, a defense that just kept giving up explosive plays, and even the special teams were making mistakes. Just a very disappointing showing all afternoon long. Gonna give the Raiders a C-. Alright, now we have the Commanders. Sincerely, what the hell has this year been so far? I know I keep saying that, I sound like a broken record, but genuinely. I mean, we had Carson Wentz living it up, Tyrod Taylor starting, Mac Jones, Jake Browning, and now Marcus Mariota. Which, funny enough, I would still take any of these guys over Tua at this point. But anyways, no Jaden Daniels, no problem. Mariota came in and went back to his 2016 form because damn, he smoked this sorry-ass team, helping Washington's offense produce over 400 total yards with Mariota spreading the ball around to just about everybody for 207 yards, going 15 for 21, including McLaurin, who finally decided he wanted to wake up. Just a damn shame he couldn't do this with Daniels. But I mean, even without Mariota, the big plays kept coming, like Jeremy McNichols, who ripped off a 60-yard touchdown run, and Jalen Lane adding to the beatdown with a 90-yard punt return score. So safe to say, offense delivered. Now we move to the defense, where the Commanders backed it up with a strong effort, forcing Vegas into long third down and bottling up Ashton Jeanty, holding him to just 3.7 yards per carry, which, I mean, again, is not hard to do. Vegas shoots himself in the foot when it comes to the run game anyways. The front seven applied steady pressure that kept the Raiders' offense from ever finding its rhythm until the very end, especially in a disastrous third quarter where Vegas totaled just 37 yards. Just yikes. Overall, this was the most complete game of Washington's season so far, which does feel strange to say even without Daniels. I mean, you had efficient quarterback play, explosive highlights on the offense, special teams did well, and a defense that never let the Raiders even see what a lead looks like. Gonna give them an A. And now we have the Philadelphia Eagles. Watching this game up until the third quarter, you think the Eagles were frauds how fucking dead this offense looked. I mean, run game was doing next to nothing. Hurts had barely 100 yards. Defense was doing things but couldn't contain the Rams again, and field goal range to keep on adding to the lead. So the third quarter starts off after a disastrous first half, and the Eagles immediately fumble, giving the Rams a touchdown by Kyron Williams to set the score 26-7. And just when all hope looked lost, Hurts picked up the cape when his team needed him the most, which again, I don't understand how the people don't give the guys deserve credit. All this talk I hear about him, and yeah, he continues to go out there and just be clutch in the needed moments. Not one, but 2 passing touchdowns in the third to Goddard and Brown to end the quarter 26-21. Taking advantage of the Rams' ability not to score with a blocked field goal at the top of the fourth to deliver another passing touchdown to Devontae Smith, putting the score 27-26 and putting the faith back in the defense's hands to shut down the Rams one last time. Where shutdown be damned, they did more than that with Jordan Davis, who my god is a big ass man. I mean, he just jumps up, blocks, and scoops the ball up to return it for 6, closing the game and this comeback 33-26. In a game that looked like it was lost from the second with a large contribution from just about everybody. Mainly special teams who came up big in their most needed moment with 2 blocked kicks. I mean, they came up. AJ Brown had his best game by far in the season yet. Same said with Hurts, who statistically had his best performance yet with not just his first, not just his second, but third passing touchdown of the season coming from just this game alone. I mean, hey, people want to see them lose, but the thing about great teams is they're able to overcome anything and always find a way to win. This was just another showing of that. If I had to grade the first half, I'm giving that one a D. But for the second half, I would say somewhere around A- to A. So, let's just meet somewhere in the middle, let's just say B. It was a damn good comeback, and Philly just continues to prove they're the team to beat. If the Rams couldn't do it with this large lead, then I sure as hell wonder who will. Next up, we have the Rams. You know, I'm lost at a couple of words for this team. Seriously, they were up 26-7. Then I blink, and now the score's tied. And the thing is, I know it's not even that large of a lead. Like, it was not a blowout type of game. But everything they were doing in the first half to contain the Eagles to scoring, they just forgot how to do in the entire second half. Like, everything after the Kyren Williams touchdown was just a disaster. And I can't even say that would have happened if it wasn't for a fumble. Not only did the defense let the Eagles score 14 more points before the quarter ended, but Stafford couldn't get anything going there. And then the fourth quarter starts where they get the ball a couple more possessions, which resulted in a turnover on downs, a blocked field goal, and another blocked field goal at the end that could have been the game-winning kick. Offensively, they showed out. I mean, everything from the pass game to the run, receivers played amazing. Defensively, they held Saquon to under 50 yards and were able to sack Hurts 4 times with 7 tackles for loss, and even causing a fumble that will lead to a score. So I can't really say either side didn't show up, because they did, and I would more or less say this really just falls on the special teams, who let this large statement win slip right out of their hands. It's a tough loss, and I'm sure it's one the Rams would like to have another chance at. But we still can't overlook how damn good they were for most of the game and how they're still a large threat in the NFC. It's disappointing, but it's the Rams. They'll be fine, they'll bounce back, and we'll probably see them rematch against the Eagles somewhere in the playoffs. Giving this performance a B-. Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons. I'm just gonna leave this at this is probably the ugliest loss I've seen from Atlanta since the Super Bowl. F. Now we have the Carolina Panthers. I don't even know if I can give this an A+. I mean, the score says A+, but the game itself said the pass game didn't do much, with the run game really being about the only production here besides Bryce and McMillan, who McMillan, by the way, let me just say, I know I had my concerns about the guy and them drafting him when they had other needs, but I could confidently say this pick is aging like fine wine, and I'm damn glad they did it. Because man, he is one hell of a talent. Like, just watch the guy bring in balls when he makes the catch. It looks like a vacuum the way he just sucks it in. But yeah, anyways, outside of him, the offense didn't really do much here. I mean, Hubbard and Dotto, who had the other rushing touchdown next to Bryce, with most of the other points come from special teams. Now, the other side of the field that I would like to turn my attention to that would be responsible for this victory would be the defense, who did just about everything to make this shutout possible, with 2 picks and one of them being a pick 6, and holding Atlanta just 1 for 7 when it came to third downs. Not to mention, the Panthers were intimidating enough to make the kicker miss twice on field goals. Overall, this was a score I sure as hell didn't expect, you didn't expect it, and nobody expected it. I mean, if you looked at the score without watching the game, you'd assume Bryce had like 3 touchdowns, 280 yards, McMillan had 100 for 6 receptions, but no, it was a defensive shutout, really with the help from the run game, which for Panthers fans, I doubt they honestly care how this was done. I'm sure shit they wouldn't care if Bryce even finished with 60 yards. Win to win, and you'll take it no matter how it's done, especially against a division rival, giving the Panthers an A-. Next up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. The game changed dramatically when the Steelers finally played defense like what they should have been looking like since the start of the year. After a rough first 2 weeks versus the Jets and the Seahawks, they finally got shit right when it came to the Patriots. Defense played out of its mind, forcing 5 turnovers, which were wild to see happen live, and scoring 14 points off said turnovers, which was really just enough to overcome New England in the end. As the Steelers tallied up 5 sacks that day, with TJ Watt reminding people, yeah, I'm fucking TJ Watt. Watch this, stacking 2 sacks and constantly collapsing the pocket, making a tough day for the offense to get much done. And speaking of offenses, we turn to the Steelers offense, which was probably the uglier side of the field. I mean, it wasn't exactly smooth sailing, you know, definitely not your typical Rodgers performance, or at least I guess what's the normal for him now, and just game managing outside the 1 pick he threw. But even with mediocre quarterback play, they still got the job done and made the passes that needed to be made, especially at the goal line with 3 different chances, 3 touchdowns, 1 to Metcalf, a run by Gainwell, and a large game-winning drive capped off by a 17-yard dime to Calvin Austin to go up 21-14. So while the pass and run game didn't blow anybody away, or, you know, wasn't exactly the most exciting thing to watch, they did enough to just make sure they come away with the win barely. I'm gonna give the Steelers a B. The offense might have been a total yawn fest to look at, but the defense told a different story, and it would be the mistakes they caused caused. Same with the pressure applied to the Patriots. That would be the main reason they're now tied for first place in the North. Not the prettiest win in a week, but one Pittsburgh's gonna be glad they got, especially after last week's shit show. Solid B. Now we have the Patriots. Talk about shooting yourself in the foot with this performance. 5 turnovers, all of your own doing throughout the entire game. I mean, even if you outgained them as far as production, which they did, it's mistakes like these that cost you close matchups like these. Especially that sack in the 4th to May, where he'd fumble and give the ball right back to Pittsburgh in a tied game to let them score one more touchdown, in case you forgot what it looked like the first 2 times. That one was ugly. The one by Stevenson was also hideous, and one I bet they wish they could get back. I mean, you can't really argue which one is worse than the other when they all contribute to the same thing, and that's the loss here in today's game. Outside the fumbles, May played well, going 28 for 37, 268, 2 touchdowns, and a pick that could have been a touchdown. Receiving room was led by Hunter Henry, who had a surprising performance, going for 90 yards, 2 touchdowns on 8 receptions, followed up by Stevenson, who did more on receiving than the run, which the run game itself wasn't all that great either, where he would have 11 carries going to absolutely nowhere. Defense was solid and did everything it could to disrupt the run and make Rodgers' life hell for 4 quarters. And while they didn't manage to get a sack, shockingly enough, against this horrific O-line, they still were able to set the tone in this very close game. Overall, this game was winnable. I mean, that's the harsh truth. It was a very winnable game. Pittsburgh should have not won. I'm going to call it as it is. I don't believe they won. I believe the Patriots were the far better team if you take away the fumbles. It's just disappointing to see what they did and see how their actions were able to cause them not to come away with this victory. Like, Pittsburgh's offense played like ass. And I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. They were horrible. Like, this was the Patriots' win to take. But those 5 turnovers will be the large difference maker, and the reason they're not going 2-1, and instead they're going to be 1-2. I'm going to give the Patriots a C-. Next up, we have the Green Bay Packers. I have no words for whatever that performance was. It was 10-0 until the 4th. I don't know how or who said this was a comfortable lead to stop fucking trying. I mean, it was punt after punt after punt with these long ass drives that went absolutely nowhere outside one field goal and a touchdown in the 3rd. But again, what the fuck? I mean, even with a 10-0 lead, they still blew something other than pure dick this entire game, letting the Browns get off a field goal, then proceeding to give them a pick to have them try again. Are you fucking serious? Yes, the Browns offense isn't great, but they're definitely not a fucking charity. Maybe don't hand them back the ball to tie the damn game, you think? Anyways, game's tied, and they get in the kicking range where would you be damned? Another blocked kick. How original, script writers. Then we get to the last 20 seconds where the Browns will kick the game winner in a game nobody had them winning. Just wow. They got their asses handed to them. I mean, run game did not do a damn thing today. Receiving room was solid, and outside the one pick, Love wasn't all that bad whenever he can get a throw off without getting murdered by one of the many defenders on the Browns because the O-line was folding in itself like a lawn chair. Now we turn to the defense, which while playing flawlessly in the first 3 quarters, took a nap on the bench and forgot to sub in with the amount of yards they let up in the 4th to the pass and run game with a Judkins touchdown to tie the game. Overall, I wish I knew how to sum up this game other than just calling it mediocre. But I'm going to call it as it is and say they suck and they made more mistakes in this game, let alone the 4th quarter, than they had the last couple of weeks. But at last, games like these remind me and plenty of others, football is a week-to-week sport. And even the worst teams, quote-unquote, can still have their best days against some of the better teams. To be fair, I don't even think the Browns are that bad. I don't consider them that bad outside their offensive quarterback play. But anyways, I'm going to give the Packers a C. Alright, next up, we have the Cleveland Browns. So it's looking like the Browns are a lot better than people give them credit for. Almost like they're just a quarterback away from actually being solid. But looking at the defense here, this was a masterpiece showing the way they were able to harass Love all afternoon long and hold the run game to under 70 yards total. Hell, holding the entire offense to under 250, which is huge, especially seeing how they played the last couple of weeks. I mean, 5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss. There's even a clip out there of a lineman screaming at Jordan Love to run, and Myles Garrett got free. Jordan! Jordan, run! That alone should sum up how comfortable his day was facing this front seven. So what did we learn from this beatdown? The Browns might not be a difficult matchup to win against, but you bet your sweet ass they're gonna make you work for it. Which if I learned anything from these Browns games, Myles Garrett is a scary man. Hell, I'm sure he even flinches looking at himself in the mirror. And although when it looked like the Packers had it won because Browns offense couldn't do much, the Browns snuck up on him with a clutch interception to set the Browns up for a tying touchdown, and then blocking a field goal later to get themselves the win. So while the offense was a snooze fest itself outside the fourth quarter, it did enough to capitalize on Green Bay's mistakes to give them a loss they won't be forgetting for a while. God, someone just give Cleveland an actual good quarterback. Actually, wait, don't do that. They might trade him away. Just one hell of a day, giving the Browns an A-. And now we have the New York Jets. Another game where there's another fucking blocked kick returned for 6. Jesus Christ. What kind of week was this? I mean, who gave all the special teams crack before this shit? Now everybody's got a damn 40-inch vertical and they can bat down whatever they like. But yes, the Jets blocked a field goal and returned it for 6 to take the lead by 1 in a game where, like other teams, decided to come alive in the fourth quarter and not actually before that. Remember, the fourth quarter, they started at 6 points to 23. We ended the game 27 to 29. Just mind-blowing the amount of chokes we could have had today. And honestly, this one would have been another one had the Jets actually score anything before the fourth that wasn't a field goal. You know, somebody should really tell the Jets, you know, it's okay to score. That's why you get 3 other quarters. You know, don't be non-existent and decide to show up when it's too late. Because shit like that is why you still lose games like this. Overall, this team started slow, but damn did they make it interesting with a really strong effort in the end. Gonna give the Jets a C+. Now we turn to the Buccaneers. Look, I get it. Baker's a dog. But please stop giving us heart attacks every week that shit y'all decide to be pulling. I got an idea. Let's have the other team score so Baker can lead us to another last-minute victory. I get it. He's really good. But can y'all just put a team away for the sake of the game instead of making it dramatic? I mean, I don't even want to imagine what they're going to do next week against Philly, but I'm telling you now, they better not try this last minute shit, that's for sure, because I mean, just ask the Rams how that went. Nonetheless though, even with all the challenges they faced in this game, they overcame it once again in another hard-fought victory. Takeaways will be, this offense is lethal. And with Mike Evans now out for a while, I expect Ibuka to take on a much bigger role if he hasn't done that already. The dude's talent is undeniable. I mean, him going to Tampa had to be aligned by the football gods because every week, he's doing shit you don't see most rookies do. Especially against this defense that's known for locking up on receivers. It was a really good showing by the offense and the defense who shut down anything the Jets tried for 3 quarters straight before letting them nearly come back in the fourth. I'm gonna give the Buccaneers a B+. Alright, now we have the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are quickly finding themselves in a frustrating pattern, and Nick's struggles are a big part of it, which feels unfortunate to say, but it really cannot be ignored the way he's been playing. 3 weeks in, he looks like he's barely averaging just 178 yards a game, putting up only 153 against the Chargers in this showing. His accuracy was once again inconsistent like seen in the Titans game, just barely hitting 14 out of his 25 throws, with his best weapon of the day being Courtland Sutton, who had 118 yards for 6 receptions. But I mean, outside of him, not a lot was done by the receiving room today. So could it be a struggle? Maybe. You know, I'm hoping Bo's a player who just has a slow start and proceeds to play like himself from last year. As we know, last year he also had a slow start to start his rookie season. My only concern I see in his game at the moment would be when he tries to climb the pocket, he forgets to set his feet. And the throw isn't able to connect as it should, like the overthrows on 3 different wide receivers that would have led to a much needed score. Like I said though, hopefully he's just off to a slow start and he gets started up here soon. Worst case scenario being it's the start of a sophomore slump, which I'm really hoping he ends up avoiding. Now moving over to the run game where Dobbins posted 83 yards on the ground when most of it come from a single drive. So while the offense had struggles, it was efficient enough until crunch time hit. And they would go a brutal 0 for 4 on 3rd downs in the 4th quarter, which would give the Chargers plenty of chances to tie and win the game. Now we turn to the defense, where the Broncos dominated all afternoon, with 5 sacks on Madison Beer's boy toys, showing the front's ability to generate pressure and to set a tone early on, which would be set until the game was on the line, where they simply just couldn't hold up, giving up 141 yards in the fourth quarter alone. That type of collapse allowed the Chargers to storm back and set up the game-winning kick. Get it? Storm back because they're the Chargers? Anyways, for the second week in a row, Denver falls flat on the wrong end of a last-second field goal. I mean, from watching these games, they're competitive, they're a tough team, and the defense shows promise. But until this offense is able to find consistency and the defense learns how to actually finish games, this team will keep watching close games like this one just slip away from their hands. B-. Man, what a damn game for this offense. First, you had Marion Hampton finally showing what the hype's all about with 129 total yards of production with a rushing touchdown, giving the Chargers a run game they've been lacking in their first 2 matchups. Then you had Herbert giving us another performance to remember, throwing for 300 yards, going 28 for 47, 1 touchdown and 1 pick. While not his greatest performance, it was efficient enough through 3 quarters where going into the fourth, trailing 20-13, when he had to take this game over, putting on the cape and delivering in the big moments, where he played flawless to close it out, going 12 for 15, 123 yards and a touchdown, completing a comeback that flipped this game upside down, with the Broncos not being able to give an answer in response. Defensively, the Chargers were not all perfect, as the Broncos pass rush gave Herbert trouble early in the game, and Denver's ground game had moments of success, but when the game reached its decisive moments, the Chargers tightened up, shutting down Bo Nix on 4 straight third down attempts in the fourth quarter, and giving Herbert the ball back to finish the job for the 3rd week in a row to take them to a 3-0 start. Which, fun fact, this is the first time since 2003 that's happened, which the last time this was even a reality, Drew Brees was the starter. Yeah, that's a wild stat. But see, what makes the stat better is it's not just they're 3-0 on top of the AFC, but the 3 opponents they faced to get here have been division rivals: Chiefs, Raiders, and now the Broncos. Overall, the defense looked shaky at first, but it got itself together, same said with the offense. And Herbert continues to add on to his MVP campaign with another strong showing. B+. Next up, we have the New Orleans Saints. They allowed 21 points at the start of the game. Really think I continued watching this? Fuck no. Like any reasonable person, I changed the channel. I mean, it was lost the moment the game started. Not once did it come close. And even when the Saints got something rolling, they were down 32 in the second. This team fucking blows. I think that's fair to say. I mean, from top to bottom, there are holes everywhere. And funny enough, quarterback isn't even their biggest concern. They got plenty of others. This team just reeks. It was a train wreck to watch, and I can't even say when or how or who they're going to get their first win against playing like this. I'm going to give the Saints an F. Next up, we got Seattle, and they sure as hell did not waste a single second of this game to put away the trash. You could have ended the game at halftime. Nothing would have changed. Hawks did all the scoring in the second quarter, going up 38-6 within the blink of an eye. It's just unfortunate they're forced to play all 4 quarters, because I'm sure everyone was ready to call it a day. I mean, the offense didn't have to do much outside just score off of the Saints' mistakes, like their turnover on downs at the start of the game that would help Darnold score an immediate 7 points. But no, the Saints weren't done there. They said, we're going to let y'all have a big lead so we can come back like everybody else this week. So they let Horton return this bitch for a 95-yard touchdown off the punt. But no, the Saints were not done there, as they would let their punt get blocked and recovered on their own 11, just for Kenny Walker to run it in, putting them up 22-0 before the end of the first. Where after this, they would add a field goal and another 2 touchdowns just because why not? Like I said, if you didn't watch this game, you didn't miss nothing. Just pure belt to ass from the defense and the special teams. Gonna give Seattle an A+. Next up, we have the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys fell fucking flat on their face once again against the Bears this time, and it showed on both sides of the ball the way nothing got done here. Defensively, they didn't do shit. They didn't do a thing. You know, they went from the Cowboys to the Cowgirls the way Caleb and this offense bitched them around. Constant bitch slap after another, bitch slap here and bitch slap there, and they just stood there and took it. Like the Bears against the Lions, except this time they flipped the script and bullied the Cowboys the way they were giving out yards like their business cards. The Cowboys would give up close to 400 total yards to the run and to the pass game while failing to generate any pressure up front. Man, if only they had a defensive edge presence. Damn. Just, too bad they never had a player of that caliber anyways. The pass rush struggled to get home, and Chicago took advantage with chunk plays after chunk plays that just kept drives alive. Then you turn to the offense where things were just as equally bad. Especially in the fourth quarter where Prescott turned the ball over 3 different times through the air with each interception swinging momentum further in the Bears' direction. Which before you know it, Joe Milton was in and it was waving the white flag telling the Bears they got the win. As for the run game, it offered very little relief as Javonte Williams found almost no running lanes against a stout front 7. When you combine shaky protection with careless turnovers, it's a recipe for a disaster, and that's exactly what unfolded in this train wreck of a game. And now that they're going without CeeDee Lamb for the next couple of weeks, just cooked. I mean, they really did themselves no favor in this game, especially dropping one that exposed both their lack of depth on defense and their reliance on Prescott to play mistake-free football. If the Cowboys want to be taken seriously, which would take a damn miracle, shit's gotta change. Cause whatever they did here, this ain't it, Chief. Giving the Cowboys a D-. Now we have Chicago. The Bears finally showed what their new offense is capable of, and it started with Caleb Williams, who was on the other side of a belt to ass for once this week. Last week, it was the Lions beating the Holy Christ into their behinds, and this week, it's the Bears dogging on the Cowboys. It's almost like going from the Packers beating the Lions to the Bears, now it's like double it and give it to the next team. I mean, for a game I didn't expect much going into. You're damn right I was satisfied with the final product. Because man, was that satisfying to watch. I mean, the best part was, it wasn't even just Caleb. Everybody got in on this ass whooping. But let's talk about the offense real quick. Caleb looked poised and explosive against his secondary, carving them up like a pumpkin for just under 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. He spread the ball around with confidence, making sure everybody got involved on this beatdown, from Loveland to Swift. More, and the most surprising one of the day being Luther Burden, who opened a lot of eyes this week. Which, I mean, if you see my draft videos in the past, you know I told everyone about this guy, that he'd be an absolute sleeper depending on where he landed. And from the looks of it, that's just another prediction I got right. Also getting some credit here has got to be the O-line that played absolutely lights out today, giving Williams the time he needed to attack downfield while opening enough lanes for the run game to keep the defense honest. Now, for as good as the offense was, I think the defense might have been even better. I mean, Chicago's front 7 kept Williams and Sanders bottled up on the run, forcing Dallas into obvious passing situations. The Bears' secondary were able to capitalize on Prescott's mistake, intercepting him 3 times, as in 3 times and you're out, because he was subbed for Joe Milton shortly after. The secondary stayed aggressive all afternoon, contesting throws and preventing Dallas from finding rhythm outside the numbers. I mean, just a very strong showing from everybody in this game, especially after last week's ass whooping. I'd hope this is what you would bounce back with. Really good for Chicago, and I hope they stay hungry like they were in this game. Gonna get them an A+. Next up, we have Arizona. I'm be honest, I didn't watch much of this game. I had other things to do, but from what I did see, this offense was horrendous. Run game was terrible, Kyler was solid, and sure, while he had his mistakes, I mean, it's hard to do much when you can't count on anybody holding a fucking ball if their life depended on it. I mean, there were drops everywhere, especially on the important drives they needed the most. Just pure bums out there today. And the cherry on top now with this loss that's gonna sting even more is that they've lost James Conner for the rest of the season. Just damn it, man. I mean, when your offense can't be trusted, then you lose the guy who pretty much is the offense. It just fucking blows. And without him, it's clear the run game is going to struggle unless Trey Benson is able to step up and exactly fill the role he was doing. On the defensive side, the Cardinals battled hard and actually gave the team multiple chances to win if their offense could actually make something happen, or if somebody could hold on to a damn ball. They forced a timely turnover, grabbed a safety that briefly swung momentum and got the stops that they needed. That should have been plenty enough to seal the deal. But nope, just when you thought you had the game in your hands, the offense has to go out there and stall on yet another drive and not do anything with these chances the defense would buy them, to where the ball would go back to the Niners and the defense would crack eventually, giving up a back-breaking drive on the game's final possession, which instead of walking away with a hard-earned victory, they left with their heads tucked between their asses, moving on to Thursday. Between the missed chances on offense thanks to their brain-dead offensive coordinator and losing Connor for the rest of the season, I can't say which one was worse. Gonna get the Cardinals a B-. Alright, next up, we had the 49ers. Hopefully the entire Niners defense got the game ball after this one, because damn, was that a defensive victory if I've ever seen one. I mean, they kind of had no choice but to lean on the defense when the offense wasn't doing much outside a few important plays, like the final drive where Jones locked in and ran the Niners down the field to set up the game-winning kick with very little time left, having McCaffrey and Pearsall carrying the offense most of the day. With 140 total yards by McCaffrey and yet another 100-yard performance by Pearsall, who had 8 receptions. But I mean, outside of these two, not much got done. Which, by the way, when the hell did Valdez-Scantling get on the Niners? You know, that's something I learned today. Anyways, back to the defense here, who set the tone early on, keeping Arizona's offense in a chokehold for pretty much most of the afternoon, and forcing Kyler Murray into uncomfortable spots. The pass game consistently collapsed the pocket, and the secondary came up big with key stops when the Cardinals tried to push the ball downfield. So hey, big ups for the defense. Offense was fun to watch, but scoring-wise, didn't do too much. So it wasn't for the defense and special teams to save today, I don't know what would happen. Gonna get a Niners also a B-. Now we have the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, thank God we didn't lose this one, because man, I don't know what I would have done had we actually lose Russell Wilson. But thankfully we didn't, so I don't gotta worry about that. But even with the win, I still have the same concerns as I had with the last couple of weeks. The offense is still not electric, it still struggles to finish drives as seen in the first half, relying on special teams to do most of our scoring. That was until the second half, where we finally looked like how we should with a large game from Thornton, who I criticized briefly last week. He turned it around and was our best man for the deep ball. Glad to see him popping off, and I really can't wait to see how he looks besides Rice and Worthy when they're both back. I'm not gonna say too much on the offense because it was good, but I'm not sold just yet. Whereas I would like to thank the defense for this victory, the way it was bullying Wilson for 4 quarters straight. Again, I won't go on this one too much, I'm gonna keep it short. I mean, after all, it is the Giants, and I would have much preferred our first win in the year against our last 2 opponents. But I mean, hey, it was either this or being 0-3, so I'll take it. I'm gonna give my Chiefs a B. Now we have the Giants. I'm gonna save everybody some time and I'll just sum this one up in 3 sentences. Russell Wilson is horseshit. Y'all need to bench him. Number 2, Scatterboo needs more carries, cause man, is he one crazy son of a bitch. Like, I'm convinced he would run headfirst into a brick wall just because somebody called him weak. That's a damn running back I'd want. And number 3, your defense is good enough to keep you in most games, just gotta get something going with the offense. Cause what good is a nice defense when your offense takes an off day on every day that ends in Y? Unless you're playing, of course, an equally shit team like the Cowgirls. Overall, this was a very mediocre game to watch because the Giants' offense was horrible when it wasn't Cam Scatterboo with the ball in his hands. But at least the defense made it interesting though, giving the Giants a D+. Bench Russell Wilson. Alright, now we have the Monday Night Football game, the Ravens versus the Lions. This defense couldn't buy a stop if the NFL shop sold them. Just what the hell? I mean, God played damn near perfect, and perfectly without being touched by this front 7 all game long, where he threw for 200 yards, missing only 8 attempts of the 28 he took, letting the receiving corps go ham all on the secondary, with Amon-Ra having 7 receptions for 77 yards and a touchdown. So while the pass game was breaking them down over the air with no answer, you had Sonic and Knuckles running circles on this ground with 4 rushing touchdowns tied between the two. So in other words, the defense got outmatched. Then you turn to the offense, where Henry got locked up for 50 yards on 12 carries, where from the start of the night it looked like he was about to have a classic. Instead, all he would end up having is a temper tantrum on the bench where he slipped because he can't even hold on to a bench, let alone hold on to a fucking ball for the 3rd week in a row, with this also being the 2nd time this season has also potentially cost him the game. So you can already go ahead and eliminate the run game from this one because it did next to nothing. To where it all came down to Lamar Jackson and his arsenal of weapons with an unexpected performance from Mark Andrews, who really showed up in a much needed game. If only someone told Henry to do the same. But outside of Andrews, Bateman, and a little Justice Hill, nobody did really anything impact worthy. Same goes with the O-line, who had no answer for what the Lions threw away, letting up 7 sacks on their franchise guy and not letting him do his thing. I mean, this game was just an example of no matter how elite a quarterback is, if majority of your team is playing like ass or just doesn't show up to begin with, it's not enough to beat a team like this, who top from bottom is designed for games like these. Where shootout be damned, you score great, they're gonna fire right back until somebody breaks first, and the Ravens did a whole lot of that. I'm gonna give Baltimore a C-. Now we have the Detroit Lions. I mean, the score says the game was much closer than it really was, but if you watched it, you know exactly how it went. And even if it did get close, Detroit would have marched right back down the field just to score again. Because that's all it was all night long, just score after score after score. I mean, the Lions let them know very well on early. We're willing to match whatever you throw our way. You score a touchdown, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it better and quicker. The run game went crazy with a large performance from Montgomery, who had the more dominant performance versus his counterpart, who also had one hell of a game himself with 4 rushing touchdowns and 225 combined rushing yards being shared between the two. With 1 pass touchdown through the air by Goff, who delivered big here in a game where he would outplay Lamar at the quarterback position. Then again, it's not hard to do when your O-line does what they're paid millions to do, and that's block. I mean, Goff was practically spotless, so the offense played perfectly. And then you turn to the Hellraisers of the night, the defense, where they had a blast just dog-walking this Ravens offense from the secondary to the 7 sacks on the Lamar. They came prepared and ready to contain anything they tried. From Lamar's scrambling ability to Henry's run game entirely, which as seen by his tantrum at the end of the night, it should tell you it was a job well done. I'm gonna get a Lions an A+. They marched into Baltimore and just outdid everything, which all really falls back on the coaching, where Dan Campbell continues to show this team is not one to fuck with. A+. And that will do it, ladies and gentlemen. Week 3 has officially wrapped up, and yeah, those are my Week 3 reactions. Once again, I do not claim to be a professional, so please, do not take it serious. This is meant to be a more fun video and just give my reactions and just what I thought on each team's performance. And like I said, if you disagree with me, please let me know down below in the comments what you would have graded instead. And with all that being said, once again, thank you all for being here, and I will see you on the next Random Recap.